Hello and welcome. My name is Jody Lynn Craven, founder of Abundance Consciousness, and this is my dear friend Heather Marie.
Hi, I'm Heather Marie, founder of Soulgate. Welcome to Channel Squared, where we have extraordinary channeled conversations about everyday life topics. Every week, we choose a topic, connect with you, the divine, and our guides, and then channel here with you live.
Yeah, and today we're talking about healing and embodiment of the divine feminine and divine masculine. Oh, this is such a big topic, Heather. Where do we even begin?
Well, I think that we should begin. When we were talking about this particular episode, we were also talking about family. And, this is kind of that time of year, right? Where everybody is either confronted with their lack of family or their too much family or their very involved family.
Yep.
And so I think that a lot of this family situation could stem from an unhealed divine feminine and divine masculine. Because when you are firm and comfortable standing in your divine masculine and your divine feminine, you don't seem to be quite as triggered by other unhealed individuals in your experience. I mean, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. The more secure you feel, the less everything else out there bothers you.
Yeah, exactly. So when I think about healing, divine masculine and divine feminine, it's really about looking for what those triggers are. What is it that, Aunt Helda says to you? And no offense to anybody who has an Aunt Helda, but, what is it that she says to you or that she does or whatever that is that triggering moment? Because the triggers can really give you a lot of information about what is unhealed in you. So, for example, one of the things right now that is incredibly triggering for me is people who ask me about why I don't have kids yet. We have been married for 3 years. I am a dinosaur, trying to have my first baby.
You're not a dinosaur.
So, to me, it's like, it's not like we're not trying, we're just not, we haven't been successful yet. So we are now trying other things, other ways to do this. But it is incredibly triggering for me when people always ask the first thing, hi guys, nice to see you. When are you guys going to start having kids? And I'm kind of like, if you only knew, like, get a knife, somebody quick. No, it's just kind of like, one of those really triggering things. So what is that is unhealed in me? Well, perhaps it's the unhealed notion that, I'm broken in some way. It's not working because I'm broken, right? Maybe it's triggering me because they don't even call to find out what's going on with me ever. So where do you get off asking me such a personal question? And I know that they mean well, right? But so this is kind of what's playing out in my mind.
Yeah.
But the reality is what's not healed is that injured feminine that's like, why haven't you been part of my tribe? Why haven't you, been here to support me and lift me up the way I would be there to support you and lift you up, right? So that injured divine feminine that feels like she's all alone and she's scared and nobody cares about her is the piece that's being triggered. Because when you look at birth and childbearing, that is the most critical divine feminine element like of your humanity. Exactly. It's creation in every essence. And so if you're not able to do that, or you're not having an easy go of it, your divine feminine is wounded, and the other women in your world innately support this. So, you know, like, because they are also divine creators. So, you know, when they're asking you, why haven't you produced any children yet? And you're kind of like, where the hell have you been? Why aren't you supporting me? It's really a clash of that divine feminine.
Mhm.
That's kind of how I see it. I'm sure you
Yeah.
have your thoughts on it too.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an interesting way to look at things in terms of divine feminine and divine masculine. And I would almost say it's a wounded masculine. Like I think of divine masculine as the support, like bringing the structures together to hold you up and to support you. And the feminine, the divine feminine for me is the flow, the creation, the, you know, exciting things, in my opinion. That's the representation that I see between those two, and then they come together and all is right with the world, if you will. So I think that there's a wound with divine masculine as well. Like I'm not being supported physically. I'm not being supported even mentally. There's a lot wrapped up inside of this conversation. I'm not being protected. Because it feels quite, when you're on the journey that you're on, and I'm on a very similar journey with, you know, having kids and all of that. We've been trying for several years as well. I hate saying that, by the way. I
Yeah.
hate saying that because it feels in our society, when you've tried something for so long, on the other side of that try is that, well, you're trying because you're a failure or you failed, right? We connect
Right.
those two things. If you're still trying, it means that you haven't succeeded yet, AKA it means you are a failure. It comes back to these words and these definitions that we've put in there, but it's so triggering when somebody asks you that question, or it can be so triggering if you haven't started to look at both those sides of it. And for me, it comes into that conversation of what it means about me, that I'm not a good wife, and that I'm not, you know, I'm not an intact female, or I'm not a good enough female or whatever, right? That I can't do this. There was one point in my life, I remember, this is a couple of years ago now. This is right after we had the ectopic pregnancy, the first one. And I was still healing from surgery. And my niece announced that she was pregnant. And we were at like a big event, and she didn't like announce it, like get on the loudspeaker and announce it. She was just kind of going around to pockets of people and was like, "We're pregnant." And I was very excited for her. And at the same time, I felt like somebody stabbed me. And I believe everything is happening for you, for me, for you, to see something that you haven't seen, and to like take the knife and twist. One of my cousins, who was in the pocket of people that I was when my niece announced this, that she was pregnant. When my niece walked away, like, you know, I held it together and I tried to be very happy and supportive, because there's a huge part of me that was really excited for her. And all of that was being clouded with all of this other stuff, the emotional trauma that I was going through, just hearing that jealousy. There was a lot packed into this tiny sentence that she said. And I was just trying to be okay in that moment and be the best and, you know, kindest human that I can be. And I, you know, I'm not perfect. But my cousin turned towards me and she like slapped me on the arm, you know, like jokingly, and said, "Well, you better get on it. Your niece is so much younger than you. You don't, you know, you don't have as much time left." And I really had to like swallow the tears that were coming up, because that was like another knife and twist. It was
Oh,
very,
that's
very
awful.
painful, especially because I had just been through surgery and lost a baby like 2 months before that, maybe two. No, it was the month before that. So it was still pretty raw. So I went to the bathroom and I cried. And in that moment, to tell you exactly what I was going through, I was trying to unpack all of my feelings, because it's not that I was mad at my niece for getting pregnant. You know,
Right.
it had nothing to do with her. It's always got something to do with me. And unpacking those feelings, it was this feeling of loss, this feeling of jealousy. And when I sat there, I sat in the bathroom for quite a long time, just by myself, having a good cry. And I let the emotions come out, and it was really coming from this place of she has something that I want, and I'm never going to have it. It was coming from that belief system of I'm never going to get that. And I don't measure up, and there's something wrong with me. And, all of these things, which in that moment, I was like, none of those are true. None of those are true, that I'm never going to have those things. That's not absolute. Okay, I can move on with that one. I mean, my cousin did not mean to say that. Like, I mean, my response after that was the story of what had just happened, and you could feel her energy drop, like insert foot into mouth. She felt awful, incredibly awful, that especially with the timing and all of that. And I choose to have compassion because she didn't know, and she wouldn't have said it. Her soul is not trying to poke at me, and maybe bring forward something that I needed to heal on that divine feminine side of things. And it, especially with pregnancy, it wraps up into time and wraps up into our belief systems around all of this stuff. So I 100% agree with what you're saying, that when we're triggered, it's poking at a piece of us that wants to come to light, to be loved. And for me, in that moment, it was loving me just the way that I am. That loving the time for me was not right at this moment to be pregnant at the same time as my niece, not to have that experience with her. And that doesn't mean that it's off the table forever. She's still having kids, and I'm still going to have kids. So that's still a potential. There's no loss there. But it really took that compassion for myself, that it's okay to feel all of these things and feel happy for her at the same time, which is hard.
Totally. I mean, I had a similar experience just recently. I mean, we hadn't, I guess we did probably have maybe a chemical pregnancy, but, not long ago, I learned of several people very close to me in my life that had all announced they were pregnant, and I totally get that feeling of like, just you are so happy for them, like you're super excited for them and super happy for them, and then there's a part of you that's kind of getting crushed inside because you're like, why not me? Like, why isn't this happening for me? Like, where's my baby? So I think that, when you look at family, and you're having these interactions with family over the holidays, and and you feel those triggering moments, go to the bathroom, unpack your feelings, and find out what it is, why what they said to you triggered you so much, because it really is a glimpse into, what is unhealed.
Mm-hmm.
Is it your feminine or masculine traits? Is it your injured child? Is it your injured adult? Like, where is this feeling actually coming from? And then start really looking at it. What does this mean about me? Does it mean anything? Probably not.
No, it's usually
It
an
just
assumption we've made.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, like we make these snap judgment assumptions or presumptions about our life or whatever. In that moment, my assumption was that I'm never going to have kids. It's never going to be my time. That, every day that goes past, I'm shriveling to my fertility death. These were all thoughts that I was having. And that's
Right.
what that conversation triggered, was an opportunity to bring them to light and to see them and ask the question from a place of curiosity. Is that absolutely true? Is that 100%? Does that mean what, like, is the meaning that I'm giving this scenario, the reason why they said it, is that empowering for me? And and I've struggled with my relationships with my parents in the past, my, siblings in the past. And that's a question that I will ask too, is that meaning empowering me, and did they really mean to hurt me? Because I
Great
think that,
question.
yeah, when you look at the soul or like the heart of somebody that you love, even if it's somebody that you don't particularly love, I believe that all people are good. Like we are all come from source, and that is pure white light. That is pure good. So, is that part of them, would that part of them knowingly and, with that, would they actually try and hurt me? No. Their unhealed parts of them might, sure. And I can give them compassion for that, because I've said things in, haste, if you will, that I didn't mean to say, or I would take back. And I can give that compassion to myself, therefore, or I can give that compassion to others, therefore I can give it to myself, and back and forth.
Yeah. It's interesting that something that you just said about saying something in haste and that you would take it back. I think that is a really important thing to think about when you're interacting with, your family, and when you're looking at these, injured aspects of you or out of balance aspects of you. When you say something in a place of, haste or jest or whatever that may come across as hurtful to the recipient, take it back. Reach out and take it back, because that really provides you so much opportunity for growth. And it provides the recipient of your hasty, jesty comment the opportunity to accept and receive your love and your apology.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the personal development work that I did many, 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 many years ago, that was one of the exercises that we had to do, was to, call somebody up and, take ownership for what we did and how that maybe made them feel. And, that was a very powerful exercise, and I highly recommend everybody do it. At least one person. You might find that you've got several people, and so you want to do all of them too, but the forgiveness, by apologizing or taking back the thing that you said or the thing that you did, it allows you to forgive yourself, and it allows them to forgive you also. And so in that, you can develop a new relationship. You can create something new out of that, where you won't have this funny haha thing that you said that you thought was so funny, but really hurt them, wounded them deeply. You won't have this energetic thing hanging out there anymore. You can just move on and let it go and develop a new relationship and start again new.
Yep. Powerful assignment.
Yes.
Takes a lot of courage.
If you do this assignment, we would love to hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it in the comments, send us an email, channelsquared@mysoulgate.com. We're happy to receive your messages. This is kind of a tricky time of year for a lot of people. Not everybody has, an amazingly beautiful family relationship where everybody just gets along swimmingly, and I would probably argue someone who does have a family like that is, do you really?
Really? Or is
There's
that
not
image?
one person. Yeah.
Well, and I think that we collect people into our lives to help us grow, to help us on this ascension journey, to become more conscious of how we see the world. And I want to make a distinction here too, because we're talking about, like somebody's triggered you. Take a moment and figure out what's I'm going to use these words and I'm going to quantify them in a second. Figure out what's wrong with you. It's not exactly what we're saying. So I don't want you to take it as that if you're listening to this, because there's nothing wrong with you. There's an opportunity to look at how you've been conditioned and how that's impacting your life. If there's an opportunity to look at your belief systems, what it means about you, and discover a whole nother part of you that may be most likely in the shadows that is operating or definitely impacting the reality that you see around you. So if you want to be a conscious creator, co-creator of your life, these interactions are important. And it's not to let that person, my cousin, for example, off the hook for saying that. It was inappropriate. Absolutely. Now, I can still forgive. I can still learn. I can still grow from that experience and let go of the negative feelings I had from and around that interaction, and in the future, set a different boundary, say something different, approach it differently, or respond differently in the future. And that response might be simply that somebody asks me about, hey, when are you guys having kids? And it doesn't affect me in the same way. And that has been my experience, truly, is I have felt very connected. So that was 2019 when all of that stuff happened. And for a year, at least, maybe even 2 years, it was really hard for me to hear that question, just like you were describing. When are you guys having kids? When are you having kids? Now, because I have used it in this way of an opportunity to learn and to love those parts of me that I had a perception were damaged, love them how they are right now in this moment, love them fully and unconditionally, whatever that means for the future. Now, when somebody asks me that question, it's no longer triggering for me. It's, hey, we had, a bout of infertility in 2019 and in 2020, and we're practicing again. It doesn't have the same charge. Therefore, the people around me won't respond to that charged energy in that same way. And you know what is really interesting? Most people don't ask anymore.
Yep. That's very interesting. Mm-hmm. How you've changed the energy around it and now nobody asks.
Yeah, I thinking about my conversations, I'm usually the one that brings it up. And then once I bring it up, I give them the permission to ask certain things,
Right.
But I'm very open. So I usually tell the whole story. So then they have more questions, which none of it is a trigger for me. I shouldn't say none of it. I'm sure that there's some other things that I can work on there, because we're always growing. We're always changing. That's the point.
True. So let me ask you, for everybody who's watching, who's going to be going through all of these glorious family experiences, what are some of the questions that they can ask themselves when they're in the moment? So we've kind of talked about like an instance, of how this could look. So when the instance has occurred, what do? How do they unpack their feelings? Like, can you give us some steps on what to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, I think this is a two-part, because I think there's places that you may be that you could have an like you can give yourself the opportunity to unpack this stuff, like live action, go to the bathroom and figure it out. And some of this you can't unpack in the time allotted to go to the bathroom, if you will. You just leave Christmas dinner and go to the bathroom and never come back. That might be, suspicious. So, and you may not feel comfortable feeling your feelings at someone else's house, or, whatever it may be. So, make note, if you're not in a place to feel all of that stuff, make a quick note, whether it's on paper or in your mind, of what you're feeling. And promise yourself that you will come back to this, that you won't just sweep it under the rug and, whatever. You can put it in a little bubble to say, I'm going to take care of you later. I just need the space to be in here. Like, I don't have the space to deal with this. So I'm going to compartmentalize it for this moment, but I promise I will come back. And if you promise yourself that you're going to do this, please do this, because if you don't, then you are wounding that little one within even further, because now you're lying to yourself saying, I'm going to come back to it, and then you avoid it. So don't avoid it. If you have the space to deal with it, or when you now have space to deal with it, the first question that I would ask, and that I ask myself, is, what is it I am feeling? Our language is so stifled in terms of our feelings. I feel good. I feel bad. I feel happy. I feel sad. I'm angry. Period. Like, it's those couple of words that we utilize, but there is a whole rainbow of words in terms of your feelings. Bring up an emotion wheel. Just Google it. Emotion wheel. And it's got all of these words, and ask yourself, what do I feel? Do I feel angry? And in the emotion wheel, it splits off to, maybe 2 different or 3 different other words. Okay, angry. Do I feel one of those? No, that doesn't really capture what I'm feeling. Okay, what do I feel? Quantifying it for yourself. I like to feel it within my body too, so that I can notice these feelings more regularly. When you start working with your body and you say, okay, where do I feel this feeling? I feel it in my throat. My throat is closing. My chest feels heavy. There's pressure on my back. Wherever it is that you feel it, there's no wrong place. When you bring your brain into that conscious awareness of where you're feeling anger, the next time you feel anger, you're going to know before your brain even catches on that you're angry. Your body will feel it, and you will already be in that conscious awareness of it. So you're teaching your body how to be your red light indicator. That's what I call it when I coach people on it. That dashboard light that says, stop, something's happening, that you're going into a process that you're not conscious of, or, you're going down a path that you may not necessarily want to go down. So what is the feelings? Where do I feel it? Why do I feel it? That would be number 3. Why am I pissed off? Why am I pissed off right now? Okay. Most people can't answer that question. They don't know. Okay. So if you did know, why are you pissed off that, cousin Sally or whomever made a remark at you? Why are you pissed off? Why does that make you so mad? And let your brain walk you through why. Most of the time it's connected to a meaning. Well, it means that they don't respect me, or they don't love me, or they, put me second, or la, la, la. Let all of that come out. I like to use a journal. Some people hate journaling. I like to see my feelings on the page, because when they're out, I feel like I can observe them. And sometimes when we keep it all in, it just gets all, mushed up together into this big ball that we can't comprehend. So start pulling the pieces out. What is it? Why am I so pissed off? Because it means this. I'll go back to that scenario of when my niece said she was pregnant. Why am I so hurt right now? Why am I so pissed off? The things that came up, they sounded ridiculous, because I'm never going to have kids. I'm never going to be able to have kids and do it with someone like my niece. Like, what a cool experience. Like, if I hadn't lost that baby, then we would have been pregnant at the exact same time. What a wonderful experience that would be. So there's loss there. I've lost out on something, an opportunity. People are mean. They don't know what I've been through. And then they're just jabbing me while I'm, bleeding. Like, literally, like, what an asshole. So I let my brain run through all of these things and let them out. I didn't have a paper and pen when I was sitting in a porta potty in the middle of a field at my parents' house when this happened, but I've been doing this for long enough with myself that I've been able to unwrap or untangle all of the words, all of the emotions, all of the context around it by just sorting through it in my mind. But if you have trouble doing that, just write it all down. Just get it up and out. Why am I so mad? And then when you come to a place where you're more calm, then you can start looking at these things and, deciding, is that an empowering belief that I want to keep? Is it absolutely true? Do I have to continue to think this? Is there another perspective? Another perspective on my cousin saying that is she had no idea what I was going through. Maybe she's never been around anybody that had any issues similar to what I had been through. Okay. Maybe she's got a belief system that you got to have kids when you're young because it's harder when you're older. And she wants to warn me and protect me from waiting too long because she knows I'm a career woman and that, my career has come first for so long. Maybe this was her heart attempt to get me to think about having children if I had never thought about it before it's too late, because that's her belief system. That's coming from a really beautiful place. Way better than what I was thinking of. She was just trying to be mean to me. Okay. And I know her heart. I know my cousin very well. I know her heart. She wouldn't do what I perceive, over here. It was probably most likely 99.9% sure that it was coming from that place of love. It was the execution that hurt. And it hurt because of all of the things that I had wrapped up into it. So that would be the questions I would start asking.
So I'm going to summarize that. I took notes while you were speaking because I think that it's really important that these be the questions in order of how you're going to ask them. So if you didn't take notes while she was speaking about how to unpack this, here they are. Question number 1, what is it that I'm feeling? Okay, that's the very first thing you're going to ask. Okay, if you don't know what you're feeling, get out the emotion wheel, just Google it and figure out what it is that you're feeling. Second, where is it located? Is it in your throat? Is it in your heart? Is it in your butt? Like, where is it? Right? Behind your eye? Who knows? Right? So where is it that you are feeling that tension? Number 3, why do I feel it? So this is where you're going to unpack everything. And so, she says, write it down. So as you're going through these steps, write everything down. What am I feeling? Where is it located? Why do I feel it? Write it down and get it all out. Just vomit it right out onto the page and then observe what's sitting there in front of you. And then ask yourself, is that an empowering belief that I want to keep? So that you can see the perspective of it. Get your perspective on it. Okay, right? What is it that I'm feeling? Where is it located? Why do I feel it? And is it an empowering belief that I want to keep? Those are the questions that you should be asking yourself when you have a triggering moment, whether it be with family or without family. If you have it, the time right then to do it, just sit down and do it right then. If you don't, just put it in a little bucket, promise yourself you're going to get to it, and then make sure you get to it. Did I get all that down right?
You did. Yeah. The only thing that I would add on to the end, if it doesn't resonate, is this an empowering belief? Because a lot of times it's like, well, I didn't do it. I'm not saying it. We have to take responsibility and ownership for the things that we believe and the perspective that we're seeing. And a lot of times we get locked into right here. These are blinders. We put them on horses so that they only look forward and they're not distracted by the other things. But the thing is, that is our world. We've been conditioned to see things like this. But a million other perspectives still exist. And another perspective can empower you more than the current one that you're holding on to. And it's allowing ourselves to choose a new perspective instead than sit in this uncomfortable feeling that isn't serving you. This is how we consciously create our reality and make changes to it.
Amazing. If you guys are liking this episode, you found some use from this episode, make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe so that every time we come on, which is every week, you'll get a little notification that we are here for you. If you have any topics that you'd like for us to discuss, channel on, go over, just let us know. Yeah, it was good seeing you all today.
Amazing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.